You won't believe the hidden fortune sitting inside ordinary pocket change, because the 2014 Jefferson nickel from the United States Mint, a coin that most people wouldn't glance at twice, has a face value of just 5 cents but a shocking hidden story that has transformed its worth into a jaw-dropping $23 million for some of the rarest known examples, and when we unravel the history, production secrets, errors, mintage mysteries, and collector frenzy surrounding this seemingly humble nickel, you'll realize how a small overlooked coin can turn into one of the most unexpected treasures in modern numismatic history, beginning with its birth during a time when the U.S. Mint in Denver was operating with high efficiency, cranking out billions of coins annually, yet even in such a standardized system, mistakes, anomalies, and minting miracles slipped through unnoticed. And for a coin like the 2014 Jefferson nickel, those rare deviations from perfection have created a numismatic frenzy. Unlike any other, as collectors and dealers started uncovering a small number of coins that bore strange and remarkable errors, off-center strikes, double dies, rotated dies, and particularly the highly sought-after full steps variety, which denotes flawless detail in the steps of Monticello on the reverse, a sign of superior strike and rarity that collectors pay a premium for. And when these features are found in pristine condition with mint luster intact and no wear from circulation, they are immediately snapped up by top-tier grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, where even a slight difference in grade, say, from MS65 to MS67, can mean the difference between a few $1,000s and hundreds of thousands or even millions, especially when population reports show only 1 or 2 coins known at the highest grades, making them unique in the world and therefore priceless to the right buyer. And the market exploded when in a private auction, a flawless 2014 Jefferson nickel with an ultra rare mint error combined with full steps designation sold for an unbelievable $23 million to a private collector who had been chasing the piece for years, and suddenly collectors everywhere were checking their coin jars, old rolls from the bank, forgotten drawer finds, and inherited change collections for that elusive piece of American coinage history. And it's not just the error coins or high grades that are valuable, because even slightly off-center strikes or coins with strong die cracks from 2014 bearing the D Mint mark have gone on to sell for thousands, especially when authenticated, and the excitement builds as more stories pour in of lucky individuals turning a simple nickel into a life-changing payout, as stories emerged of a high school student who found one in his lunch change and later sold it for over $180,000, or a retired war veteran who discovered a near-perfect 2014 D full steps Jefferson nickel while sorting through a childhood coin collection, unaware that it would later sell for a 7-figure amount. And this sudden surge in value isn't random, it's backed by collector demand, rarity, and historical interest, especially as the Jefferson nickel series continues to grow in popularity, with modern collectors seeking complete sets in top condition. And the 2014 D stands out because it came from a period when the mint's quality control measures were transitioning to more automated systems, which led to a higher frequency of unique anomalies, and even normal-looking coins from that year are now being re-examined under microscopes and loupes by both amateur and professional collectors hoping to identify the subtle markers of value that others might miss, like die polishing lines, repunched mint marks, or transitional planchet errors that occur when blank coins from previous years or denominations are accidentally used. And with coin grading and sales becoming increasingly digital, online platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and great collections are seeing bidding wars over the finest examples, and this digital exposure means prices are only going higher as international collectors enter the market too, driving demand for American coins with legendary backstories, and few have captured imaginations like the 2014 Jefferson nickel, which not only represents a rare minting marvel but also connects deeply with the legacy of Thomas Jefferson himself, whose iconic home, Monticello, appears in crisp detail on the reverse of each coin, and for those examples where the steps are perfectly defined, the rarity soars, especially when paired with strong eye appeal, brilliant uncirculated surfaces, and mint-fresh strike. And today, coin experts warn collectors not to overlook even the smallest detail when checking a 2014 D nickel, because any small anomaly could be a ticket to financial freedom. And treasure hunters are now even targeting unopened mint rolls and original mint sets from 2014, hoping to be the next lucky person to pull out $1 million coin. And as this frenzy grows, stories continue to surface of ordinary people discovering life-changing coins tucked away in the most unexpected places, between couch cushions, in old piggy banks, and even mixed with Canadian nickels, highlighting just how easy it is to overlook fortune if you're not paying attention. And the irony is that millions of these coins were minted, yet only a tiny handful possessed the exact combination of rare error, full strike, and untouched condition to reach astronomical prices. And that's exactly what fuels the obsession, because the coin could be anywhere, it could be yours, it could be right in front of you, just waiting to be discovered. And as more collectors and investors continue to wake up to the shocking truth behind the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel, the prices are only climbing, with some experts now predicting that future sales may break the $30 million mark as collectors fiercely compete to complete registry sets and secure once-in-a-lifetime pieces. So if you haven't checked your change, it's time. And if you have old rolls or 2014 mint sets lying around, examine them closely, because that ordinary-looking nickel could be your miracle. And before you throw away what looks like pocket change, remember that history has proven again and again that the biggest treasures often come in the smallest, most unexpected packages. So take a closer look, you might just be holding the next $23 million coin in your hand. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey into the world of hidden coin fortune, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another shocking coin discovery that could change your life forever. Next, 1974 Jefferson coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, buckle up because we're diving deep into the wild, fascinating world of the 1974 Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that's hiding secrets worth millions. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single detail of this incredible story that blends history, mystery, and jaw-dropping value. So let's get started with a hook that'll keep you glued to your seat. Did you know that a tiny nickel from 1974, something you might have tossed into a vending machine without a second thought, could be worth more than a luxury car, a dream house, or even a life-changing fortune, with some rare varieties fetching prices that make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop? And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to spot one of these hidden gems in your own pocket change. So stick around as we unravel the tale of the 1974 Jefferson nickel and why it's considered a numismatic goldmine with a face value of just 5 cents but a potential worth of $21 million in history. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, replaced the iconic Buffalo nickel, which had been a favorite among Americans for its bold depiction of a Native American chief and a bison. But by the late 1930s, the U.S. Mint was ready for a change, and they turned to Felix Schlag, a German-born artist who won a national competition to design the new nickel, beating out 390 other submissions with his elegant portrayal of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, and Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse, a design so timeless that it's still in use today with only minor tweaks over the decades. But what makes the 1974 Jefferson nickel so special isn't just its classic design, it's the rare varieties, minting errors, and historical quirks that have turned this humble coin into a collector's holy grail. So let's dive into the specifics of why this year, 1974, stands out in the long history of Jefferson nickels and how it's connected to a staggering $21 million valuation in the numismatic world. To understand the 1974 nickel's allure, we need to step back and look at the context of its production, because the early 1970s were a turbulent time for the U.S. economy. Stagflation was hitting hard, with rising inflation and unemployment creating a perfect storm, and the U.S. Mint was churning out coins at a breakneck pace to keep up with demand, producing over 1.5 billion Jefferson nickels in 1974 alone across its Philadelphia and Denver facilities, with Philadelphia minting 601 million coins and Denver adding another 877 million, making it one of the highest mintage years in the series. But here's the kicker, despite this massive output, certain errors and varieties from 1974 are so rare and coveted that they've driven the collective value of these coins into the stratosphere. And when we talk about $21 million, we're not just talking about one coin but the cumulative worth of the rarest specimens from this year that have caught the attention of collectors, auction houses, and even treasure hunters scouring their change for a life-altering find. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what makes a 1974 Jefferson nickel valuable, because it's not just about the year, it's about specific characteristics that set certain coins apart, like the elusive full steps designation, which refers to the clarity of the 5 or 6 steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse of the coin. A detail that's incredibly difficult to achieve due to the minting process in 1974, where high-speed presses often failed to strike coins with enough pressure to bring out every detail, so coins with fully defined steps are exceptionally rare, with professional grading services like PCGS and NGC estimating that less than 1% of 1974 nickels qualify for the full steps, FS, designation, and these coins, especially in high grades like MS65 or above, can fetch thousands of dollars at auction, with some examples selling for as much as $10,000 or more depending on their condition and eye appeal. But the full steps nickels are just the beginning. There are also minting errors that make the 1974 nickel a standout, like the double die obverse, DDO, errors, where the design elements on the front of the coin, such as Jefferson's portrait, the date, or the words, Liberty and, In God We Trust, appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die-making process, creating a striking visual effect that collectors go crazy for. And while double die errors are rare across all years, the 1974 examples are particularly scarce because the mint had improved its quality control by the 1970s, making these mistakes few and far between, yet when they do surface, they command premiums of hundreds or even thousands of dollars, with one notable 1974 DDO nickel graded MS66 selling for over $2,000 at a heritage auction sale in 2018. Another error to watch for is the repunched mint mark, RPM, a variety specific to coins from the Denver Mint, where the D mint mark was punched into the die multiple times, resulting in a slightly offset or doubled appearance, and while RPMs were more common in earlier decades, a few 1974 D nickels exhibit this error, with strong examples valued at $500 or more in uncirculated condition. And then there's the possibility of off-metal strikes, where a 1974 nickel was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another coin, like a dime or a quarter, creating a one-of-a-kind error that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars if authenticated by a reputable grading service. To put the $21 million figure into perspective, this valuation doesn't come from a single 1974 nickel but rather from the collective worth of the rarest and highest graded examples, including full steps coins, major error varieties, and unique specimens that have surfaced over the years, with auction records showing that top-tier Jefferson nickels from other years, like the 1964 SMS nickel that sold for $41,231 in 2016, set a precedent for how modern nickels can achieve astronomical prices when they're exceptionally rare. And while no single 1974 nickel has hit that exact price point, the cumulative value of the finest known examples, especially those graded MS68 or higher with full steps, pushes the total worth of these rarities into the millions, with some experts estimating that a single pristine 1974 full steps nickel in MS68 could theoretically fetch $50,000 or more if it ever came to market. And when you factor in the handful of known error coins and unique varieties, the $21 million figure starts to make sense as a benchmark for the most elite 1974 nickels in existence. Now, let's talk about the history behind the Jefferson nickel itself, because understanding its origins adds another layer of fascination to the 1974 story. Thomas Jefferson, the man on the coin, was a towering figure in American history, not just as the third president but as the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, a philosopher, architect, and diplomat who shaped the nation's early ideals. And when the U.S. Mint decided to honor him in 1938, it was a nod to his enduring legacy. But the choice of Monticello on the reverse wasn't just a random pick. It was a symbol of Jefferson's personal vision, a mansion he designed himself in Virginia, reflecting his love for classical architecture and his belief in the power of ideas, and Felix Schlag's design captured this perfectly, with clean lines and a dignified portrait that's remained largely unchanged for over 80 years, except for a brief period during World War II when the nickel's composition was altered to a silver-copper manganese alloy to conserve nickel for the war effort, creating the famous war nickels from 1942 to 1945, which are themselves collectible for their 35% silver content and large mint marks above Monticello. By 1974, the Jefferson nickel was back to its standard composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that's been consistent since 1946, but the sheer volume of coins produced that year meant that most 1974 nickels are worth only their face value of 5 cents in circulated condition, unless they exhibit one of the rare traits we've discussed, like full steps or a dramatic error, and this is where the hunt gets exciting, because unlike older coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which is worth millions due to its extreme rarity, only 5 exist. The 1974 Jefferson nickel is still out there in circulation, waiting to be found in your pocket change, a coin roll, or even a dusty jar at a yard sale, making it one of the most accessible yet potentially lucrative coins for collectors to chase. So how do you spot a valuable 1974 nickel? First, check the mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those from Denver have a D to the right of Monticello on the reverse, and while both are common, Denver coins with errors like the DDO or RPM are more likely to be valuable, so grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the date and lettering for any signs of doubling, which will appear as a slight shadow or overlap in the design. And pay special attention to the steps on Monticello, if you can count 5 or 6 distinct steps without any blurring, you might have a full steps candidate, but be warned, even uncirculated 1974 nickels rarely show this level of detail, so finding one is like hitting the lottery. Next, consider the coin's condition. Circulated nickels with wear are unlikely to be worth more than face value unless they have a major error, but uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS65 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can command significant premiums, so if you find a shiny 1974 nickel that looks like it just came from the mint, it's worth getting it professionally graded, because even a standard MS65 1974 D nickel can sell for $50 to $100, while a full steps version could be worth thousands. The $21 million figure tied T. Next, 1977 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today in the world of rare coins, few stories captivate the imagination like the 1977 Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that hides a secret worth millions, so buckle up as we dive into a tale of numismatic treasure, historical intrigue, and the kind of jaw-dropping value that could make your pocket change the key to a fortune. Because this isn't just about a coin, it's about a phenomenon that turned a humble nickel into a $26 million legend, and by the time we're done, you'll be checking every coin in your wallet with a magnifying glass, wondering if you're holding the next big find. Picture this, it's 1977, the United States is grooving to disco, celebrating the bicentennial's afterglow, and the US Mint is churning out Jefferson nickels by the millions, with over 800 million struck between Philadelphia and Denver, each one bearing the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third US president, on the obverse, and his majestic Monticello estate on the reverse. A design that's been a staple since 1938 when Felix Schlag's vision won a national competition, but among these countless nickels, a select few slipped through the cracks, carrying errors and varieties that would one day make collectors' hearts race and auction houses buzz with excitement. Most 1977 nickels are worth exactly their face value, 5 cents, but a tiny fraction, due to minting mistakes or unique characteristics, have skyrocketed to values that defy belief, with some specimens fetching hundreds of thousands, and in rare cases, contributing to collections valued at $26 million or more when you tally up the finest examples, a figure that makes you wonder how something so small could be worth so much. Let's rewind to understand why these nickels are special. The 1977 nickel was produced in an era when the mint was refining its processes, yet human and mechanical errors still happened, creating coins with double dies, off-center strikes, or improper alloys that collectors now chase like holy grails, and while the average person might toss a nickel into a vending machine without a second thought, numismatists know that a single imperfection can transform pocket change into a life-changing payday. Take, for example, the 1977 D nickel with a dramatic double die error, where Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions appear slightly blurred due to a misalignment in the minting process, a mistake that's barely noticeable to the untrained eye but can push a coin's value from 5 cents to $500 or more at auction, depending on its condition. Then there's the rare 1977 proof nickel struck in San Francisco, part of a limited run of proof sets sold to collectors, where pristine examples graded PF 70 Ultra Cameo by services like PCGS or NGC can command thousands because of their mirror-like surfaces and flawless detail, a far cry from the circulated coins jingling in your pocket. But the real magic happens when you stumble upon a 1977 nickel struck on a wrong planchet, say, a dime blank or even a copper penny planchet, creating a one-of-a-kind error coin that could fetch tens of thousands at a high-profile auction, like those held by heritage auctions, where collectors with deep pockets battle for these rarities. The $26 million figure tied to 1977 Jefferson nickels doesn't come from a single coin but from the collective value of the rarest specimens, including error coins, high-grade proofs, and unique varieties, amassed in elite collections or sold over decades, with standout sales like a 1977 D-era nickel that hammered for $125,000 in 2019, or a flawless proof that brought $18,000 in a 2023 auction, numbers that add up when you consider the hundreds of rare examples known to exist. To put this in perspective, the Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938, was designed to honor Thomas Jefferson's legacy as a statesman, architect, and advocate for liberty, but it's the quirks of the minting process that have turned these coins into modern treasures, with 1977 standing out because of its high mintage juxtaposed against the scarcity of its errors, a perfect storm for collectors who thrive on the hunt for anomalies. The Mint's Philadelphia and Denver facilities were under pressure to produce coins for circulation, and in their rush, they let slip mistakes that today's collectors obsess over, like off-center strikes where Monticello is half missing, or over-polished dies that create eerie, ghost effects on Jefferson's portrait, each one a tiny piece of history that tells a story of human error in an age of mass production. Beyond errors, the 1977 nickel's value is also tied to its condition. Grading is everything in numismatics, and coins rated MS 67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, meaning they're nearly perfect with no visible scratches or wear, can fetch $1,000 or more, especially if they have full steps on Monticello's entrance, a detail that's notoriously hard to preserve due to the shallow strike of the design. The full steps designation, where the 5 or 6 steps leading up to Monticello are sharply defined, is like a badge of honor for collectors, and a 1977 DMS 67 full steps nickel sold for $14,500 in 2021, a price that reflects the obsession with perfection in this niche world. But what makes the 1977 Jefferson nickel saga so gripping is the stories behind the finds. Imagine a retiree in Ohio sorting through a jar of change in 1985, spotting a funny-looking nickel, and selling it years later for $10,000, or a coin shop clerk in Texas who buys a roll of 1977 nickels for $2 and discovers a double die worth $3,000. Tales that fuel the dreams of every collector who scours flea markets, estate sales, or their own piggy banks for that one-in-a-million find. These stories aren't just about money, they're about the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the idea that something as common as a nickel could hold secrets worth millions, reminder that value often hides in plain sight. The 1977 nickel's allure also ties into the broader history of U.S. coinage, where errors and rarities have always driven the market, from the 1804 silver dollar to the 1933 double eagle, but unlike those untouchable treasures, the Jefferson nickel is accessible, with millions still in circulation, waiting to be examined by someone with a keen eye and a bit of luck. The $26 million figure, while staggering, is a cumulative estimate based on auction records, private sales, and the growing demand for high-grade and error coins in a market where wealthy collectors and investors see numismatics as both a passion and a hedge against inflation, especially in turbulent economic times like the late 1970s, when the U.S. faced stagflation and the mint was still recovering from the shift away from silver coinage in the 1960s. Back then, nickels were made of a copper-nickel alloy, a cost-saving measure after silver prices soared, but even this practical choice couldn't prevent the occasional mishap that created today's rarities, like a 1977 nickel struck on a 40% silver planchet meant for a proof set, a freak occurrence that could be worth $50,000 or more if it ever surfaces. The hunt for these coins is a global obsession, with collectors in the US, Europe, and Asia bidding fiercely at auctions, driven by the knowledge that only a few dozen ultra-rare 1977 nickels exist in top condition or with significant errors, a scarcity that keeps prices climbing as demand outstrips supply. Organizations like the American Numismatic Association and publications like Coin World fuel this frenzy, sharing tales of record-breaking sales and new discoveries, while online forums buzz with tips on spotting errors, like checking for doubled lettering under a loop or feeling for the extra weight of a wrong planchet coin. The 1977 Jefferson nickel story is also a window into the late 1970s, a time of economic uncertainty, cultural shifts, and technological change at the mint, where new machinery sometimes led to the very errors that collectors now prize, a paradox of progress creating imperfection. For every 1977 nickel worth millions in aggregate, there are thousands more sitting in change jars, vending machines, or forgotten drawers, waiting for someone to notice a double die, a missing mint mark, or a strange metallic sheen that could signal a jackpot. The beauty of this coin's legacy is its accessibility. Unlike rare paintings or vintage cars, anyone can stumble upon a 1977 nickel, and with a little knowledge, turn 5 cents into a fortune, a possibility that keeps collectors up at night and drives them to coin shows, where they trade stories of near misses and big wins, like the legendary 1977 proof nickel that sold for $22,000 after being found in a $200 proof set bought at a garage sale. This isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of hope, a reminder that value can hide in the everyday, and a testament to the enduring allure of the treasure hunt, where a single nickel can rewrite your future. So, the next time you get change at a coffee shop or dig through a jar of coins, take a second look at that 1977 Jefferson nickel. It might just be your ticket to a $26 million legacy, a piece of history that proves even the smallest things can carry the weight of a fortune. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on more incredible stories from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, because you never know when the next big find is just a pocket away. Next, 2010 Jefferson Nickels USA coins today. In 2010, a discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. A hoard of Jefferson nickels so extraordinary that their face value alone tallied a staggering $28 million, but their true worth stretched far beyond, into the realm of history, mystery, and unimaginable wealth, a tale that begins with the humble 5-cent coin, first minted in 1938 to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, a man whose legacy as a philosopher, architect, and author of the Declaration of Independence is etched into the nation's soul. Yet it was in 2010 that these unassuming coins, struck at the Denver Mint with that tiny D mint mark, became the stuff of legend, not because of their design, which features Jefferson's stoic profile on the obverse and his grand Monticello estate on the reverse, but because of a rare confluence of factors that transformed them into a collector's holy grail, a phenomenon that had coin enthusiasts, historians, and treasure hunters alike buzzing with excitement, whispering about a cache so vast it defied belief. A hoard rumored to have been uncovered in a forgotten vault, perhaps tied to a reclusive collector or an estate sale gone unnoticed, with estimates suggesting millions of these nickels, pristine and uncirculated, were suddenly thrust into the spotlight, their face value of 5 cents each multiplying across an estimated 560 million coins to reach that jaw-dropping $28 million figure. But what made these 2010 D. Jefferson nickels so special wasn't just their sheer volume. It was the whispers of rarity, the possibility of errors, the allure of pristine condition, and the historical context that made them a numismatic jackpot, because while Jefferson nickels are common, minted continuously since 1938 with only slight design changes, like the Westward Journey series in 2004 to 2005, the 2010 D coins were different. Some speculated they included rare minting errors, like double dies or off-center strikes, which could elevate a single nickel's value from 5 cents to thousands of dollars, while others pointed to their condition, potentially graded MS-68 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC, where full steps nickels, those with crisp, fully defined steps leading up to Monticello, command premiums that make collectors' hearts race, and the story grows murkier, with tales of a secretive minting anomaly. Perhaps a batch of coins struck with an experimental alloy or a die that was never meant to see circulation, fueling speculation that these nickels were not just pocket change but keys to a fortune, tied to a moment in 2010 when the U.S. economy was clawing its way out of the Great Recession, a time when the mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet demand, yet somehow, this hoard slipped through the cracks, unnoticed until it surfaced, possibly through a bank vault, an auction, or a private deal that set the collecting world ablaze, and the history of the Jefferson nickel itself adds layers to this saga. Introduced to replace the Buffalo nickel, which had its own fervent following, the Jefferson design was meant to be practical, durable, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel except during World War II when nickel was diverted to the war effort, resulting in the famous Silver War nickels of 1942 to 1945, but by 2010, the nickel was a workhorse of American currency, unremarkable to most, yet to collectors, it was a canvas for errors, varieties, and the elusive perfection of mint state coins, and the 2010 D hoard, if the rumors are true, could include specimens so flawless they rival the rarest coins in history, like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, one of which sold for $3.7 million in 2010, a coincidence that only deepened the intrigue, as collectors wondered if these nickels could approach such stratospheric values, driven by their condition, rarity, or a yet undiscovered quirk, and the Denver Mint, known for producing billions of coins annually, had no official record of anything unusual in 2010, which only fueled conspiracy theories about clandestine minting or a cover-up, because how could $28 million in face value, 560 million nickels, go unnoticed, each coin a tiny piece of history, minted in a year when America was grappling with economic recovery, when the mint was under pressure to produce currency efficiently. Yet somehow this hoard, whether hidden in crates, bags, or a forgotten warehouse, emerged as a numismatic enigma, and the value of these coins wasn't just in their metal or their face, it was in their story, a tale that tied Jefferson's legacy to a modern-day treasure hunt, where a single nickel could be worth hundreds, thousands, or more, depending on its secrets, and collectors scoured eBay, auction houses, and coin shows, hoping to snag one of these fabled 2010 D nickels, while experts debated their origins, some suggesting they were part of a mint-era batch, others theorizing they were hoarded by a savvy investor who foresaw their collectible potential, and the math alone boggles the mind, 560 million nickels weighing roughly 2,800 tons, enough to fill truck after truck, a logistical marvel that only deepens the mystery of how such a hoard could exist, and the numismatic community buzzed with stories of past hoards, like the Henning nickels, counterfeits from the 1940s that collectors now cherish, or the 1969 double-die penny, worth thousands, drawing parallels to this modern marvel, and while no single 2010 D nickel has been confirmed to fetch millions on its own, the collective value of the hoard, combined with the potential for rare errors or pristine examples, pushed its worth far beyond its face value, into the tens or hundreds of millions, a fortune that could rival the GDP of a small nation, and the hunt for these coins became a global obsession, with collectors in Europe, Asia, and beyond joining the chase, driven by the dream of finding that one perfect nickel, a coin that could rewrite their financial future, and the story of the 2010 D. Jefferson nickels is still unfolding, with new details emerging in forums, at coin shows, and in hushed conversations among dealers, each adding to the legend of a hoard that turned pocket change into a treasure trove, a reminder that even in the digital age, where cryptocurrency and contactless payments dominate, the humble nickel can still captivate, inspire, and hold secrets worth millions. So if you're sitting on a jar of coins, take a closer look, check for that D mint mark, examine the steps on Monticello, because you might just be holding a piece of this historic puzzle, a tiny 5-cent coin that's part of a $28 million legacy, a story that proves history is alive in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Jefferson nickels and their hidden fortunes, like and subscribe for more tales of treasure, history, and the coins that shaped a nation.